One deck that I really like is known as Spright. This deck right here. This isn't complete, this is just all the cards. And why not tell you what they do? They contain 5 effect monsters, 3 spells, 1 trap, 1 Xyz monster, and 2 link monsters. One of the link monsters is banned, so cannot be played. All the other cards are unlimited. We should start off simple with Spright Blue. If you control a level or rank 2 monster, you special summon it from your hand. If this card is special summoned, this card makes it so you can add any Spright monster from your deck to your hand. You can only do that once per turn, and it can only be summoned with its summoning method once per turn. The card that you're normally searching with this is Spright Jet, which has the exact same summoning condition, but it can, when summoned, it makes you add a Spright Spore Trap from your deck to your hand. And of course, each effect is hard once per turn. Then we have Red and Carrot. Pretty much the same thing, but instead of worrying about rank 2 monsters, they worry about link 2 monsters. Of course, it can only be summoned once, and as a quick effect, they can make it so Carrot does spell and traps, and Red does monsters. Once you tribute one of your other rank 2, level 2, or link 2 monsters to negate it. But if you tributed a rank or link 2 monster, you also get to destroy the card. Of course, it's once per turn. And our last card we got is Spright Pixie, which worries about level and rank 2 monsters. It can only be summoned once per turn with its method, and is in effect during the damage calculation if another level, rank, or link 2 monster you control battles an opponent's monster quick effect. You can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard. That monster gains attack and defense equal to your opponent's monster's attack until the end of the turn. You're going to do that once per turn. This deck has inbuilt in Honest, which sounds pretty cool. None of our monsters are actually light monsters, so we normally could not use Honest. But it seems like that doesn't really matter. I haven't mentioned it, but all level monsters are Thunder. The stats are pretty low, going at most 14, and they're either a Dark monster or a Fire monster. When fires in our main deck, we got are the Carrot and Red. Let's go over to the spell and traps. Our most important spell is Spright Starter. Lets you special summon any Spright from your deck, but you take damage equal to its attack. Again, low attack powers, around 1,000 damage you'll be taking. And for the rest of the turn, after it resolves, you cannot summon anything except level, rank, and link 2 monsters. You can only activate one of these per turn. It is a quick play spell card, so keep that in mind. Then we have Spright Smashers, which lets, to activate it, we must banish a Spright, a Therion, or a Spriggan monster from our hand or graveyard. It can also be a spell or trap card, not just the monsters. Then we can activate one of their effects. We can summon either a Therion monster from our graveyard, a Spriggan monster from our deck, or, what we worry about in this deck, banish a 1 level, rank, or link 2 monster we control, and any card our opponent controls. It can be a monster, spell, or trap, does not matter. It can be face up or face down, as long as it can be banished. Plus, it does not target. Notice how it lacks the word target. And you can only activate these once per turn. It is, again, a quick play spell card. Our last spell card, which just so happens to again be a quick play spell card, Spright Gamma Burst. All of our rank, level, and link 2 monsters are carding in our field gains 1,400 attack and defense until the end of the turn. And as an effect in the graveyard, or during our main phase, we can banish this card from our graveyard and target 1 level, rank, or link 2 monster we control. It gains 1,400 attack until the end of our opponent's turn. Although we can only use one of its 2 effects, so we can't make all of our monsters stronger and banish it from the graveyard on the same turn. Another card that is a trap card, it's just a normal trap. It makes it so we target 1 monster on the field or in either graveyard, activate these effects. Attach the target monster to 1 rank 2 monster you control. It's Attaching a monster is one of the best forms of removal. It's better than banishing normally, better than sending to the graveyard, because it doesn't just get rid of the monster. Now it is not on the field, so your opponent cannot even interact with it. But you could just put the target monster your opponent controls in your zone your link to monster points to, and take control of it. Or you can special summon the target monster from either graveyard to a zone a link to monster points to. You can only activate this card once per turn. So we can either do stuff with a bunch of our opponent's cards. We have tons of ways to get into more resources and negate cards. We have such low attack powers, we even got ways to mitigate that. And if our opponent starts to out-resource us, we can just hit them back. Technically speaking, this card gets you negative resources, but it's usually worth it. And this is just usually plus something. If we summon a blue or Spright, we instantly get back another card. But we should go over the extra deck cards. I'm going to start with Spright Elf, because it's banned. It takes 2 monsters, including a level, rank, or link 2 monster. And it also is a fire monster, which has an effect of can't be used as link material the turn it's link summoned. Your opponent can't target monsters this card points to or card effects. Pretty good. Always a funny way to look at a card is as you start going down it, when does it suddenly just stop being good? Immediately, this card sounds horrible. It can't be used as link material that turns link summoned, so it pretty much can't be used as link material. But then its next effect is pretty decent. Then, following that, during the main phase, either players, main phase 1 or main phase 2, does not matter. As a quick effect, you can target one level 2 monster in your graveyard. Or, if your opponent controls a monster, you can target one rank 2 or link 2 monster. Instead, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Spright Elf once per turn. This card got banned because you can just bring back Totally Awesome, which becomes an Omni Negate that steals your opponent's card and puts on your field. Or in tier, you can get rid of your Merly, bring back Merly on your opponent's turn, mill 3 cards, hopefully you can do a tier name, and then start just playing on your opponent's turn. Now let's go over the other Link monster, which again is a Link 2. What a surprise. That has the exact same summoning requirement. It's also a fire, and if you notice the 2 cards, they're pretty similar. Same attack, same type, same attribute, just their link arrows are different. And of course, their effects. But talking about effects, this one makes it so can't be used as the turn of the turn summoned. You can only use one of its falling effects per turn, and only once that turn. So when it's summoned, you can link summon specifically. Send one level 2 monster from your deck to your graveyard. Oh, okay. I wonder what that can be used for. And if another monster is special summoned while this card is on the field, except during the damage step, you can dispatch one material from an Xyz monster you control, then target one monster in the field, return to the hand. Again, we cannot use both of them on the same turn, because it's a shared hard once per turn. And this card needs other monsters to be on the field just to use its second effect. But its first one, let's go over that later, after we go over Gigantic Spright. Now, actually, we'll mention its stats being 16-16 for both ends. It's a rank 2, it just takes any level 2 monsters you want. It has an effect where you can use any link 2 monster you want and treat it as a level 2 for its Xyz summon. This card's original attack is doubled as long as you have a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link monster as material. During your main phase, you can activate this effect. Semicolon. Dispatch one material from a monster you control. And if you do, special summon one level 2 monster from your deck. Also, neither player can special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except level, rank, and link 2 monsters. So, we can only do that once per turn. So what does this actually mean? Well, we can bring out whatever monster we want and stop our opponent from activating his steal effects and nib. So we get off pretty good. However, it can only be done during our turn at spell speed 1. Which, for this, doesn't actually... It's not that much of a deficit either. Interestingly, if you noticed how I pointed out where the semicolon is, we don't actually have to discharge material from a card until our opponent's allowed to respond to it. They can negate the card and we don't lose a material. And you noticed how I didn't say from this card? Yep, it can be from any of your Xyz monsters that has material attached to it. But what can this kind of deck actually look like? Well, I got this one here. This is known as Runic Spright. We use the Runic cards, and I have a video on them, to support what we got here. We can summon Corruptor Ibly, give it to our opponent. They are not allowed to summon monsters. We play a Nimble package for Spriggan. So we can send this to the graveyard, summon 2 of these, but I always prefer to play 2 of these and 3 of these, just in case I draw one of these. And it never feels good to have one of these in your hand, except, really fun thing you can do, because this doesn't matter if it's something from the deck or hand. If you have a runic card in your hand, activate it, summon this, activate its effect, discard this, and add this. Pretty fun. If you want to copy the deck, go for it. I'm pretty sure I stole it from the Kali effect and Joshua Smith. I'm not sure about that, though. It could have been someone else I stole it from.